Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. I could tell you about the AL wildcard. I could tell you about the NL West. Here's what I will tell you. Baseball is hot in the streets. Let's talk ball. Oh, Shohei versus Judge.
Tyler Holton.
Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball, presented to you by SeatGeek. Use SeatGeek code TALKIN10, 10% off any tickets. Whether you're going to see a big Dodgers-Padres series, whether you're going to see some Mets-Braves, whether maybe you want to see a historic Chicago White Sox team, with code TALKIN10, you'll save 10% off any tickets at SeatGeek. The app is so easy to use. I know how to use it. Download it now, code TALKIN10. Go see the final week of regular season baseball or maybe some postseason tickets. Me and Bob Euchre just peed a little bit. I am Jake Storielli. That is Trevor Plouffe, BBD producing. Trev, how are you?
I'm doing great. We had a little bit of tech issues this morning, but it's not going to stop my excitement about the baseball season. I would say this, though. There are some teams, like fans of teams, don't go see a baseball game. Don't go watch your team play. Go do something else. Go to like a comedy show or something like that. But if your team is still lucky enough to be in the hunt, go check some ball out. I do like that. There's a lot of stuff happening. Obviously, we got 6, 7 games left in the season, depending on who you are. And, you know, at this time of the year, over the last couple of years, this is when I really kind of grow to love that third wild card, Jake, because there's a lot of drama that's happening with the tiebreakers, with the series. My Minnesota Twins are still, like, they're on life support. There's just no doubt about it, but they could pull through. That's why I brought the hat today. I was not going to wear this thing, but I got to show some support somehow.
They might
Getting
need
scary out there.
They might need more than support. They might need a big at bat from you or something, or a DM to someone on the team. Because Trev, I was gonna save it on the way through, but I'll tell you what games I feel like my soul isn't strong enough to watch. Those Boston Twins games this weekend. Both of those teams,
it wasn't good,
in the dark place.
It wasn't good.
And yeah, that's kind of what showed up. It's nuts. If you have no idea and you're tuning in to talking about, hey, these guys are handsome, let me listen to them. I guess they talk about baseball and lifestyle stuff. We've got a week left. The AL wildcard, which seemed like it was going to be nothing all year, has become... The AL Central has reared its ugly head yet again, and the Royals, Tigers, Twins, make sure you're tuned into the standings. The Mariners...
Yes, the Mariners
are very much alive, but after yesterday, they may have more hatred running through them than Palpatine at this point. Like, I don't...
Ooh.
You like that? I got some Star Wars in me. I'm a loser, too. In the National League, David Bell gets fired. We're probably not going to talk about too much of that. I think Trev was hanging out with CJ Abrams. And the NL wildcard itself, it has some storylines going. The NL West, it's going to be very interesting to see where this lands in as we're getting used to this new wildcard format. Is this electric? I think it is. Because we have teams like Edwin Diaz came in for a 2-inning save yesterday. Like we have playoff baseball stuff going on, which is really good. I will tell you something that me and Jimmy talked about a little bit that, you know, I don't know if this is what you want to hear, but how much of the AL wildcard got dictated by the Chicago White Sox? Because
still going to be dictated.
I know, and like
Chicago White Sox.
That's kind of not a good thing. Like if I was the Mariners, I'd be kind of not happy with that, but I'd be not happy with a lot of things if I was a Mariners fan. I don't know. Anything you need to get off your chest before we get into it?
No, I think we just got to rock and roll. There is a lot of fun stuff to talk about. I'm excited to see where your award goes. I don't know what my award, if it's an upper or a downer.
Ooh.
I think I'm going to turn it into an upper. That's kind of what I do.
I was told by a wise kid at a college party once, If you're doing uppers or downers, just make sure you head in one direction. When you combine them, that's when you get in trouble.
Okay.
Let's because it's Monday, September 23rd, let's do a little American League.
What about an espresso martini?
It's me espresso. Well, I think if you do it with tequila, that's upper.
Is tequila an upper?
Scientists still don't know.
Sabrina Carpenter, Carrie Carpenter. It's going to be a great app.
If Carrie Carpenter was on your favorite team, you'd be tweeting at us, Xing at us about how good he is. Let's talk. We're talking ball. Let's do it. And it starts with Carrie Carpenter's Tigres. They went into Baltimore, and they took 2 out of 3 after getting rolled in the first game. Corbin Burns getting in postseason form. That's good. James McCann and Colton Cowser chasing that Rookie of the Year with 2 homers. But then TFA. Things fall apart. The Tigers take game 2 in extra innings. They go 10 in that one. Riley Green and Zach McKinstry all over that one. Heston Kjerstad, 3-hit game, good for the kid. Maybe that'll matter. We'll talk some Orioles kids later. But then the Tigers get it done on Sunday. Carrie Carpenter, 2-homer game. Wow. Jason Foley gets the save in that one. Parker Meadows is robbing home runs. Can't wait till everyone sees where the Tigers are at in the standings. And Jordan Westberg is back for the Orioles. Maybe that matters because they've been struggling. Speaking of struggling, the Kansas City Royals, L7. They only score 1 run in 3 games. I mean, part of that is shout out to the Giants pitching staff. Your guy Landon Roop, Trev will talk about him a lot. Mason Black and then Blake Snell on the final day. That is not the guy you want to see if you're struggling to score runs right now. The Giants sweep the Royals, and it is panic time. They had a Garrett Hampson ball that was a couple inches away from being fair. That could have won them a game. Check out where they are in the standings, getting spooky in KC. The series that doesn't get me too saucy is the Twins at the Red Sox. The Red Sox take 2 out of 3, and both of those wins come in a doubleheader. The Twins, they win in 12 innings. They outlast Dick Fitz. Trev will talk about that for sure. But they can't do it on Sunday. Tristan Casas' 3-homer game. Cutter Crawford goes 7.2 innings while the Red Sox put up a 9 on the scoreboard. Go check out where the Twins are in the standings. The Seattle Mariners, they've got some sauce. George Kirby owns the Texas Rangers in his career. 6 innings, 2 earned runs. Julio, grab the stretch. He balls out. He has 7 hits in the first 2 games. Mariners are going to sweep. They're up 5 runs, and they blow the lead. The Rangers come back. Marcus Semien walk-off to take the final game, 6-5. Remember that when you hear where they are in the standings. The Astros take 3 out of 4 from the Halos, and that's obvious. Kikuchi continues to ball out for them. Ronel Blanco continues to ball out for them. What you need to know, Kyle Tucker with a 4-hit game. That's big. And Justin Verlander with another tough outing. That's become a conversation piece. The Yankees end up sweeping the Oakland Athletic. Garrett Cole goes 9 innings in 1 game. Rodon, 6 innings clean. We like that. Judge, Soto, Stan, and Gleyber Torres, people. He is back and leading off for the Yankees and doing good things with the bat. And the series everyone's talking about, the Rays. They sweep the Blue Jays. Jonathan Aranda's been balling out. You'll hear about that in FUEGO teaser. Otherwise, there's bigger fish to fry. That's what happened in the American League.
You're so good, Poppy.
I feel all 4 pitches are working right now.
Are they?
Cutter.
Are they?
Slambio. 2-seamer.
You only need 3. You don't. Why are you getting greedy?
Tate McRae. What are the standings, Trev?
Wow, that's 2 pop star references already. We're gonna go. It's the AL standings brought to you by me, and we're gonna start out west. How about that? Houston, 5-game lead in the division, 85-71 over those Seattle Mariners. We're hanging on. to a playoff, to a playoff hopeful week. I don't know what I just said right there. They're 80-76. The Texas Rangers 74-82. Do I have to read the people that are eliminated?
No, screw them.
They're dead. They have
except the Chicago White Sox.
Yes. Texas, Oakland, LA, Angels. Rest in peace this season. You have the skull and crossbones on Baseball Reference. I can't read your record. The Central, the Cleveland Guardians have clinched the division at 90-67 right now. They sit firmly entrenched, and I believe, have they clinched already a bye? Like, dang close if they haven't. The Tigers and the Royals are tied behind them at 82-74 apiece. The Twins 1 game behind those two teams at 81-75. And as you mentioned, Chicago White Sox 36-120. They will break the record for worst team of all time. That's incredible. And out east, your Yanks have not clinched the division yet, but they will soon. They have a 1-game magic number there. They're 92-64. They have the best record in the AL. Baltimore sits 6 games behind them. Baltimore's 86-70. Boston 78-78. Tampa Bay streaking. They still can't get to our number, unfortunately, but they can get close if they win out. I think they'll be a half game short if they win out. They're 78-78, and I cannot read Toronto's record because they're also dead. In the wild card, Baltimore holds the first spot. They're 4 games up on the Tigers and the Royals, who are tied for the second and third spots. I believe Kansas City has a tiebreaker between the Tigers and themselves. The Twins sit 1 game back of those teams, but they hold the tiebreaker on both the Royals and the Tigers. And then, as you mentioned, Seattle 2 games back of all of those teams for the wild card. Those are the standings in the American League. We're going to get into it right now, people.
Thank you, Trevor. I think, Jakey Lytics, or I normally try to find the easiest way to phrase it. The Mariners do not have a single tiebreaker. So they need to win and be ahead. The Tigers essentially do not have a tiebreaker.
No.
Because it's they lose to the Royals and the Twins. They have it over the Mariners, which again, hey, maybe we'll get there, whatever. But the Tigers will have to finish above the Royals and the Twins, which they currently are. As of today, the Tigers are the 6th seed. I don't think we'll be stimulating, but that would be the A.J. Hinch Bowl. They would currently go play Houston. And the Royals are still in, and the Twins would be out. So Yankees and Guardians still chasing the 1 and 2 seed in the AL, which with how the brackets are set up, and Houston still being the big bad wolf. That is very important. Trev, I think we dive in with the young kids. That's what we like around here. The Detroit Tigers and the Baltimore Orioles. They teed it up for 3. Man, some of these Orioles numbers, I know we've been talking about it, but after this series, they are 28-32 since the All-Star break. I know you're going to talk about some of their youth later, but they've lost 5 consecutive series. Them and the Yankees were in a race for the AL East that is all but over. The Yankees could end that tomorrow night. The Yankees and the Orioles are going to play, so if the Orioles sweep them, I guess you'll hear a little more panic in my voice. And the Tigers are on the other end of the spectrum, man. They've won 11 out of their last 14. I labeled it, what my scouting department saw was a bunch of kids having fun, hugging each other after home runs, and that momentum has now carried them into the playoffs if it were today. So I guess in the series in general or in the scope of these teams, what's Trevor Plouffe seeing?
Yeah, I don't think you were too far off with your assessment of, youthful exuberance. I think that kind of has been what's happened, amongst other things, obviously. The pitching has been probably the star of the show, and it's been kind of not a typical way to get around things. I mean, we've seen a ton of openers. We've seen a ton of bullpen games. We've seen guys who, typically wouldn't be relied on to throw certain innings, throwing certain innings. Obviously, the back of the bullpen had been good all year, but They have just they have found a way to get it done on the pitching side. Defensive metrics have really loved the Tigers as well. They've come a long way since last year. So they're playing defense, they're preventing runs, with their pitching, with their defense. And then they're just getting like timely hitting from some of the young guys. I think you nailed it with that. Like it's been a lot of Trey Sweeney's overall numbers aren't great, but he's had some big hits. We've had Kerry Carpenter come and look like the Messiah.
Mm.
He's been huge for them, and it's been an all around kind of team effort for the Tigers, and to go on the road to Kansas City and Baltimore with your season essentially hanging in the balance. Like you played some great baseball, you're leading up to it, then you got to go on the road before the final week of the season, and to do what they did. I know Kansas City's been struggling. I know the Orioles have been struggling as well, but this is big boy baseball, big boy time, and they just took care of business. And again, it's not just one thing that you can point to with them. You like I said, the defense has been great. You have guys robbing home runs. You have guys, multi home run games. You have, big swings from the bullpen. It's just been a little bit of everything, and I think it's not to reference you too much in this, but it's just kind of like young and dumb and not knowing any better at the right time. It's all kind of just come together for them. And you know what? As a Twins fan,
Mm.
I still appreciate like what they're doing, dude. Like it's been very, very impressive to watch.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the one thing, if you had to point to the Tigers, they pitch. I mean, their season numbers. Scooble pulls a lot of weight for that rotation right now, which that'll be an interesting conversation if the Tigers get there. And their bullpen, like they have a very legit back end of their bullpen that they only need so much. And now with, dude, Kerry Carpenter, like I know he's become a bit of a goof on this show because Jesus was a carpenter and Sabrina kind of took that from both of you guys. But this man has a 952 OPS this year. It's in 82 games, but that if that was at the midseason point, we would say like he's been one of the best hitters in baseball. It's not like that's a 1 month sample. That's like 3 months of games. Riley Green, when you're doing your top X players in baseball this year, he has to be in the mix. That they have a couple guys that they bank on to get it done. It's almost kind of the Royals conversation we would have, except they now have this weird youth depth that I don't, kind of what you're saying, I don't know day in, day out. You can't bank on Trey Sweeney or Colt Keith or Torkelson, although Colt Keith had a run there for a little bit. But one or two of them will do something. And right now,
it's like the Guardians formula where somebody is stepping up, whether it's like in the clubhouse saying like, I want to be the guy today. That does get a little bit contagious in the clubhouse. You see one of your boys step up and, get a big knock. You're like, I want to do that. Like I play just like him. I can do that. That seems like what they're doing. Sweeney 7 for 21 on the road trip. 5 runs driven in. Jake, on August 10th, the Tigers playoff odds percentage. You know what it was? 0.2.
oof.
0.2%, bro. Now they control their own destiny. There's just a bunch of numbers to support the kind of baseball they've been playing. 270 ERA by the staff through September, 26-11 since August 13th. I mean, they're just playing good, fun baseball. And I saw this team many times this year. And if you would have asked me, are they going to even sniff the postseason? I would have said no. That was early on. It was too early. That's why you play 162, because, they were treading water. And, we talked about this on Baseball Today. Chris Rose and I talked about the leaving or getting rid of Jack Flaherty, getting rid of Mark Canha. Do they regret that? And it's almost been addition by subtraction for them. Obviously, those are two good baseball players, and any team would want those guys on the team. But it's a different vibe when you get rid of some of these veterans who they don't really have ties to the organization. So
No.
now you bring up some young guys who, have come up through the organization, have played with each other. All of a sudden, Javi Baez is out of the lineup. That changes. I mean, maybe that's the biggest thing that's happened. If we're really being honest, that changes the dynamic of the team when Javi's the way he's played, the way he's. I mean, I don't want to say conducted himself, but it's a different feeling. He's paid. He's won a World Series. He's done all these things. The sense of urgency necessarily isn't there for a guy like Coby Baez. So you remove him from the lineup. You get these young guys in. They start hugging around the plate. Jake Storielli was all over it, and they put together games like this, man. And Tyler freaking Holton, a relief pitcher / starting opener, whatever you want to call this guy, hybrid to the max, is third on the team in WAR. Like it's stuff like that. Matt Vierling fourth, by the way. It's been a lot of fun to watch, and it's going to be hard for me to not root for this team, even though I got my Twins hanging in the balance as well. And they end, as we kind of like mentioned before, they end with 3 games against the White Sox.
Yeah, so they've honestly, their season may come down to 3 versus the Rays, who we just talked about. They're playing the Rays, who just won 3 games, and if we know anything about Tampa, they DGAF. They're gonna, in some sicko way, want to ruin it for the baby Tigers. What is a baby tiger? Is that a cub? But that's kind of taken in baseball. So. Are Cubs bears too? What's that all
doesn't
about?
make sense.
Okay, we'll get our animal experts on it. Big 3 versus Tampa Bay, where if they get two of those games, against the White Sox, it's just been proven that they're probably getting 2 of those, which, man, that if they line up with Houston and Hinch and a bunch of kids versus all those Astros Giants, a little, Jesus Kerry Carpenter, but David versus Goliath, if that ends up lining up. AJ Hinch, manager of the year. On the other side, Trev, your Orioles. Hey, Corbin Burns, I like that a lot, getting locked in. Saw a cool demonstration on how he changed his cutter this year to be more of a ground-out cutter. I think it was MLB Network. Shout out to them. Cowser chasing Rookie of the Year, but, man, the vibes are off, Trev. What do you say? What do you do? Because, they're going to be in the dance. They will be in the dance. And it's like what you said with baseball, that 162, you could flip it instantly. If Adley Rutschman had this James McCann 2-homer game, we'd be saying, "Oh, watch, is that going to get him going?" God, they need a taste of the good sauce so badly.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're totally right about that. I think there is the potential for them to flip it. You do get Jordan Westburg back. I think that's really big. I'll be talking a little bit more about that at the end of the app. But they are going to be in the postseason, like barring a complete, absolute meltdown over the last 6 games. I mean, they go to New York, then they end in Minnesota. Hey, maybe Twins can do something. Yeah, it's interesting. It just seems like series after series, the losing has just snowballed for them over the last 6 weeks, and I think you can chalk it up to just that. Like you don't want to start having that losing mentality, and for so long in the beginning of the season, they didn't have that. We don't lose series. We don't get swept in a series. We don't do all these things, and all of a sudden it happens. And they're like, oh, maybe that does happen to us. And, we've seen some underperformances. I think the pitching hasn't been great for them. But they're going to have to figure it out fast because, once these next 6 games are over, the real lights come on, and that same mentality, quick exit in the postseason. Then what's this whole year for? Like it could happen fast in baseball. And it seems like that's kind of what's going on with the Bird here.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Again, barring something drastic in both directions, I think the Yankees need to win one more game and the Orioles need to lose one to for the Yankees to win the AL East, and Baltimore would basically have to lose out to not make the wild card. Like, the Orioles are in. They're going to be the wild card team. And Corbin Burnes is going to get that pill in game one, and it's kind of what we've talked about. Major League Baseball wants the starting pitcher to be more of a thing. That if you're the Baltimore Orioles and Corbin Burnes goes out in that first game in Camden Yards with Corbin Burnes on the bump and he goes 7 clean or whatever it is, your season's back on. So it's going to be a week of build-up and getting other bats besides Santander and Gunnar going for them, because Santander hit, his 43rd? That guy's about to have a basement. Excited for him.
Unbelievable. I think he's like top 5 homer seasons all time for a switch hitter.
Yes,
like
it's
up there with Chipper Jones, and it's
like him, Mantle. It's insane. Awesome for him. But yeah, they've got a week.
They need a good juice, man. They just need somebody to step up. I honestly, I think they need Adley to step up. Adley to have a huge game and just get that feeling back. It's all it takes. Look at. We just talked about the Tigers and how grim their outlook was, and then, we talked about how they flipped it, but it could happen quickly for them. Again, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the baby birds, and maybe, that definitely has something to do with the way they're feeling. No doubt about that. I had something else I was going to say. Now I can't remember what the heck I was going to talk about.
Let's see if
So they should be able, with the lead that they have, to line Corbin up for game one of a wild card set. That's nice. And so the Tigers are hoping they can do that, because I believe at the moment Scoobs is scheduled to pitch like either the second to last game or the last game of the season.
Yes.
And if they're able to clinch before that, then they can move him back. And that changes. It's a 3-game set, dude. It changes.
Right.
Everything.
Right. Yeah, I think. Yeah, Scooble, I think, is lined up to pitch the last game, which, hey, if they need that, not bad to have. Or for the 3-game wild card. Trev, we're mentioning a lot of cities today. Minnesota, beautiful. So many lakes. Detroit, I got to get out there. I actually haven't been to Comerica. And with Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball, you need to go see all of these great American cities. Whether you're looking for a hotel, a bed and breakfast, vacation rental, resort, wherever Trev likes to stay, wherever BBD likes to play. Booking.com, find your perfect stay for this postseason. I'm interested to see how things line up. If we get a World Series close to here, might get my Booking.com on. Go check out any of these great baseball U.S. cities, or even your baseball rival city at Booking.com. Download the Booking app today. Let's keep it going with some of this Central, because they've taken the spotlight, Trev. Thank God. Awesome. The Kansas City Royals gets swept by the Giants. The offense shuts down. Tough to look at. 1 run in 3 games. I think they've got 1 run in their or they've had a lead in 1 inning of their last 50. And I want to piggyback it with the Twinkies, Trev, because they win a 12-inning fiasco. That, I'll be honest, I wasn't as locked into David Festa's start as I'd like to be.
Decent start.
Good start. Dick Fitz is setting records. But then they get double blown out, which, to be out of playoff contention, vibes can't be too high there.
No, it's not. It's bad vibes right now.
Bad. The vibes are bad.
We'll start with the Royals. So, I said this when it happened, and, it's not some Nostradamus take, although I do have those from time to time. When Vinny went out for the Royals, I said, this is gonna be big for them. This guy is a run producer, and you can't just find another one of those guys. I believe his last game played was like August 29th. Since then, They've averaged under 3 runs a game. Their hitting with runners in scoring position has plummeted. It's been the biggest reason why they've had. I think they've had two L7s in this month of
Mm,
September alone. Beebs, can you fact check that? I'm pretty sure I saw that somewhere.
I don't know about
And
two.
I think they have had two. Yes, dude, they have fallen and it has been bad. And a lot of it has been because you're missing one of your biggest run producers. The lineup gets a little thinner because of that. And now, yeah, I mean, they are looking to absolutely hold on. Um, it's it stinks because they played such good baseball, a dramatic turnaround from last year. And then if you just don't want to have a September collapse, dude. Like that's the worst thing that you can do in all of baseball. Beavers, you're shaking your head. What do you
Two.
got?
There's two L7s in there, including the active ones since losing Vinny. They're 7-14. Second worst record in baseball in that period. White Sox have the worst record. They're 5-16.
It's
Blue Jays third.
they were walking, a tightrope, with their offense, and it was fun. Bobby Wood Jr. is going off, and you're doing all these things, and it's Sal, and people undervalue the RBI and the situational hitting. And when you lose a guy that's been doing it all year long, it's going to take a toll, man. And I know Vinny doesn't want to hear that, but it's the truth.
Yeah, I almost sent Vinny a text, just like genuine mental health, like being a friendly guy check-in, because like, dude, I mean, to have that injury happen and then to see what happens with the boys and where they're at. And I was like, me and Vinny kind of aren't on that level. That would be weird of me to overstep, so I'll check in on another time.
I don't think that's what you should ask that.
You think I should? Okay.
My new rule in life, Jake,
Okay.
and I'm trying to really implement this, is if I'm thinking about someone, I'll send them a text. Hey, man, thinking about you.
Okay.
What's up?
Okay.
Yeah.
I
What's
mean,
the harm in that?
not to flex on you guys, just got a Cole Tucker text.
Oh.
Yeah, I think Kansas City. I think there was a
It's
number.
8:15 in the morning on the West Coast. What's going on?
Maybe he's not on the West Coast.
Oh, yeah. Maybe he's in Aruba.
Ruben my balls. I think the Royals, I think their runners in scoring position numbers recently are horrid, and it's funny that you've harped on that for a while now as one of their team strengths. During that Monday game, 8 for 52 over their losing. That's dude, the other big thing for Vinny, and I mentioned this last time, I did like a big three baseball exercise, which really didn't lead me to too many results. Who's the third best position player on the Royals right now with Vinny out? It's Bobby Witt, it's Salvi, and then it's
I like Massey.
Freddie Fermin, Tommy Pham. Like,
Melendez. Yeah, no, it was a thin lineup
yeah.
from the get-go, but they were getting timely hitting, they were playing good defense, all these things. But
Who do
points
they
on the
have?
board
Who do they have?
are points on the board.
You couldn't have said it better. Nationals and Braves. Okay, interesting. Hey, Cole Rygans. Come on. Let's finish this out. Michael Lorenzen coming back. God, it's been such a nice summer in Kansas City. Don't end like this. A road trip. Nats, Braves. Jeez. Come on, Yuli. Carry them. Some snaps for the Giants. I really don't think we should talk about it because they're eliminated. I think the conversation, and there may be more about this guy later, but Blake Snell has some crazy statistics going right now. And Matt Chapman, basically your fingerprints all over the Giants.
All over. Matt Chapman had a baby, came back, hit a homer his first game back. Him and I were talking about life and fatherhood, so he's in a good. I said, dude, and this, I guess we got to mention this. I said, it's the pinnacle of your life right now.
Oh, jeez.
You just signed a massive deal.
Oh, boy.
You just had a baby. Everyone's healthy. You're hitting homers in the show. 7-1 B-War right now. Like, it's all Matt Chapman right now. And he did say, yeah, man, secured my family's future. And I never been more happy. And that is a real feeling.
Second in B WAR in the NL, only behind Shohei Ohtani. Matty Chapman.
I'm still waiting on his best offensive season, although he's never going to win the MVP because Shohei's going to win it.
Yeah, you just needed Shohei to not exist, and we might be having that discussion. Trev, Twin Sox, because I am saying it in a half rude way. I can't imagine what innings 10 through 10 and 11 looked like in extras on Friday night between the Twins and the Red Sox, with both of those teams with different scuffling numbers that are horrifying. And then the Red Sox dropping it on them on the double dick Sunday that whatever you need to say it.
I will say this. I mean, the Twins just don't really have a recipe for success right now. And that is, as blunt as you can have it. I mean, we got, I commend Correa and Buxton for coming back. Clearly, they're not 100%.
Right.
The pitching staff is running on fumes. I mean, we got Cole Irvin, Michael Tonkin, throwing too many innings, basically. And I love those guys, but, it's just the bullpen isn't what everyone thought the bullpen was going to be. And a lot of that has to do with injuries, overuse, all these things. They're just, I don't know, man. Like if they sneak into the playoffs somehow, they don't really have a recipe to win. They could win a wild card series if somehow magically they were able to line up Pablo and Bailey to throw 2 of the games and something happens. Like maybe they can win a 3-game set, but they don't have a recipe to win a 5-game set, let alone a 7-game set. It's kind of the truth, man. And I root for my Twins, and I'm hoping I'm wrong and hope they can use this as, I mean, they're not going to use this as bulletin board material, but it just doesn't. If I had to pick, that's actually a good question. If I had to pick 2, or I guess just pick one of the AL Central teams, like Tigers, Royals, Twins, to like win a series, I think I'm picking the Tigers. Like maybe, is that recency bias? I don't know, man. But it seems to me like, again, I don't think the Twins have a real recipe. Royals are really scuffling to find like an offensive identity now. Like Bobby Witt just has to completely put him on his back. But the Tigers are able to kind of mix and match a little bit more and more contributions up and down the line. I don't know, man. All that being said, I just don't think the Twins are. Besides a tiebreaker, that's the only thing that they really have going for them.
Yeah, man. It's crazy what it's turned into. Twins' last home run was by Willie Castro on September 17th. 11 and 22 over the last month.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad stats, man.
And yeah, again, if you missed it at the start, and I'm saying this in a genuine fashion, like the Chicago White Sox, like the Twins, Tigers, and Royals have all destroyed the White Sox this year. I think it's to the tune of like 11 and 12 and 1. Like it's
everyone has. Tigers are 9-1 against them. I mean, everyone is. I mean, Jake, they've only won 30-something games, 36 games.
I know, but I guess my point is the Seattle Mariners, who are now 2 games back, with a game they blew last night that would have changed this whole conversation.
Yeah.
They've got to be saying like, God, it would have been nice if we had a couple more White Sox games.
I mean, they get to play the A's and the Angels. I know those teams aren't White Sox level.
No, they're not.
But the Twins and, there's 4 good teams in the AL Central. 4 teams over 500. There's only, so I get it.
Yeah.
This is as even as the schedule's ever been. I understand the extra, what is it, the extra 6 games, 7 games against the White Sox means something. For sure, it does. But there's other teams you could look to and say, like, wow, that team sucks in that division too.
Yeah, just one is just the worst team to ever play this game.
Ever play, yeah. Ever play. And it's getting worse and worse the more we hear about it.
I think more importantly, it turns into that kind of coach speak of like, the Mariners, hell, the Red Sox and the Rays, they could point to a lot of other things this season that could have that could have changed how we're talking about them right now. Do you want to close with some Seattle thoughts? I know you're highlighting them.
I'm talking Seattle a little bit later in the show.
Please.
I'm rooting for them.
Okay,
I mean, look at this.
That's good.
This is the recipe. You score 8 runs the first 2 games, you win. Typically, when they score 5 runs, they win every single game. The record is ridiculous when they score 5 runs. But the Rangers, huge comeback in that last game, like you're talking about. It's weird. I don't know why 2 games feels like such a big distance right now. I guess without the tiebreaker as well. I don't know, man.
Without the tiebreaker, it's brutal. But I'm not ruling anything out because everyone's floundering, and sometimes I'm out here talking about the Tigers hug meter and how much I think that's controlling things. But if it was a playoff baseball game, I'd love to see how George Kirby, Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, Brian Wu, how much those guys could dictate things.
100%.
Randy Arozarena.
I would love to see the Mariners get in and just disrupt the wild card series.
Randy Arozarena,
that's exactly what they could do.
The best to ever do it. Julio's going nut job and borderline saving a season, which honestly would frustrate me as a Mariners fan.
I'm talking about that later.
I know. Justin Turner.
Now Raleigh,
Red
31.
Turn 2. Yeah, and then I've got some Houston stuff I want to highlight later, so I think we can save that. The Yankees, they're doing some good stuff. Keep it shuffling. You got anything on my Yanks? Huh?
They're rolling.
Huh?
They're rolling. Marcus Stroman, good comments.
You might hear more about that later.
Okay.
Trev. Let's go into the National League, and the National League is brought to you by Tommy John. I wear Tommy John, and you should too. Doesn't get better than that. Tommy John, the most comfortable underwear I've ever worn. Know how I know? I'm wearing them right now. I wear them every day.
I know you are. Show them.
Whether it's happy hour, whether it's the warehouse this weekend where me and Trev were letting it hang. Yep.
Lower.
You want more? Oh. That's a lot for the YouTube. Tommy John, they keep you cool, they keep you dry. Bing bong. How about that? And right now, you get 25% off your first order at TommyJohn.com/talkin. 25% off. TommyJohn.com/talkin. Go see the site for the deets, Braj.
Burn, Poppy, burn.
The National League. Can we talk about the New York Metropolitans? They take 3 out of 4 from the Fightins, the Phillies. They take game 1. Sevy letting it roar out there. Mark Vientos and Francisco Alvarez and Pete and Nimmo all homer in that game. The Phillies take game 2. Christopher Sanchez, 7'3", mows them down. A lot of Philadelphia offense. But then the Mets come back. Luis Angel Acuna. That's right. You know that last name. Sean Manaea, 7 innings, 3 earned. Trev tried to tell you. And then on Sunday Night Baseball, Brandon Nimmo into the seats for the 2-1. Kind of a grindy playoff type victory, Trev. The Mets take 3 out of 4. Please make sure you listen to where they are in Trevor Plouffe's standings. Orion Kerkering. Nice. The Arizona Diamondbacks, they take 3 out of 4 from Milwaukee. Algonquin for the good place. Maybe a little bit of a hangover as they were celebrating coming into this series. But Brandon fought 7 innings, 1 earned run, 2 hits, 12 Ks. That could be important come October. The D-backs grind out Ketel Marte. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is back, even though Pavin Smith has gone gangbusters in his place. Merrill Kelly, 5 shut piece. Has some weird cramping stuff going on. Interesting to see how that goes with the postseason. Hey, Brew Crew salvages it on a crazy last game, 10-9. Reeser with 3 RBI. Willie Adames adds another milli to his future basement. Pat Murphy saying, hey, I don't care. It's not now. We can't let this happen. But the Snakes did it. Big for them. Braves take 2 out of 3 from the Marlins. Looked like a potential house of horrors as they get down early in that first game and they lose it. Jake, how's your burger? But the Braves come back. Max Fried, 6 innings, 1 earned run. Olsen, Urshela, and Soler all homer. Gio the God homers in back-to-back games for the first time since 2022. And look who's back. Little monster Ozzie Albies with 1 hit, but it was a home run in that final game. The Guardians played the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Cardinals take 2 out of 3. Why not? They couldn't out. Oh, Ben Lively versus Kyle Gibson in that first game? Were you in the building, Trev? J-Ram went yard. Lane Thomas went yard. And then it's all Cardinals the rest of the way. Herrera. Andre Palante.
That's a stud.
7 innings, 1 hit. Good for him, man. The Padres swept the White Sox. If you've heard about the White Sox this episode, you know. Fernando gets a walk-off in the first game. Joe Musgrove with one of his more dominant starts of the season, sure. Elias Diaz, remember when the Rockies didn't trade him? He played well in the second game. And then Yu Darvish, breaking records for strikeouts. I love Yu Darvish. Tatis and Profar go yard in that game. White Sox are not real. Speaking of not real, the Colorado Rockies. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers. Dodgers win the bread games. Shohei Ohtani, if you haven't heard about what he's doing, pretty good. It all got highlighted, honestly, in that last game because Shohei hit the home run to tie it, and then Mookie walked it off after. No more need to play this game, Rockies. This was fun and all. Ryan McMahon's 5th straight 20-homer season. Zeke Tovar's 44 doubles. You don't care. Maybe we care next year. TPP. Young Court. Hunter Goodman. Michael Toglia. Shut up.
Victor Vodnik.
Cubs take 3 out of 4 from the Nats as they get eliminated. Jameson Tyone. Nice start. Didn't start Jameson Williams this weekend. Shota was good. Pirates and Reds played. Reds won 2 out of 3, but they fired their manager. That's what happened in the National League.
A lot happened in the National League.
It was juicy.
Like
I didn't
lot.
realize.
Yeah.
Tell me you have the standings.
I do have the standings. We are going to start out east with the Philadelphia Phillies. Are 92 and 64. They have clinched the playoffs. The magic number is 2 for the division. So they could have done that last night. They would have just beat the Mets, but they couldn't do that. Could not celebrate at Citi Field. Mets 5 games back in the division, 87 and 69. Braves 85 and 71. Nationals, they have issues of their own. Can't leave when you're on a heater. Everyone knows that. Miami, can't talk about them either. Milwaukee has clinched the division. It's the Pat Murphtober. I think we're selling shirts.
Oh, yeah, it's Murphtober, baby.
89 and 67 for them. And then the rest of the division has a skull and crossbone. I cannot read the standings, although the Cubs are over 500, 80 and 76. Out west, the Dodgers have not clinched the division yet. Padres sitting 3 games behind them with 6 left to play. 93 and 63 for the Dodgers. They have the best record in all of baseball. Padres, 90-win seasons for the first time since like 1800. I don't know. It's a long time ago. Yeah. 90 and 66 for them. The Diamondbacks 87 and 69, and then the Giants in Colorado have skull and crossbones in the wild card. Not really much to talk about. Padres have the top wild card. Mets in Arizona 87 and 69, each sharing the second and third spot, and then it's the Braves 2 games out, with a 3-game set starting tomorrow against the Mets to determine, well, this in the standings, that has a lot to do with it, but also the tiebreaker. The winner of that series will have the tiebreaker as they've gone 5-5 against each other. So it's coming down to, this is exactly what we wanted. I wish the Braves would have won the first game in Miami. I wish they would have swept them so it could have been 1 game. But here we are. Those are the standings in the National League.
Thank you, Trevor. And yeah, if you're looking for playoff baseball this week, You can find it because the Atlanta Braves, they've got 2 against the Mets.
They have 3. They have a
They have
3-game
3.
set.
Are they doing a doubleheader?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Interesting. Fangraphs has that wrong. That's weird. Go check that out because the Braves, they can win the season series against the New York Mets. Again, just go check out this division's history and go check out how Braves dominated. This division has truly been going back to the early 90s. It's kind of absurd. And these Mets that just feel like they can't be stopped.
They cannot be stopped. Bro.
Oh my God.
A lot of stuff going on with them too this entire year. I mean, I don't know when it was. Maybe it was like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I said I think the Mets are going to be the team on the outside looking in. I don't feel that way anymore because what I look at in teams, and I don't think this is like crazy, insightful, but I like a team that has many different ways to win a ball game, and obviously any team can win a ball game in different ways. But I'm talking about a team that does it kind of consistently, finding ways to win. Whether that is, your starting pitchers, you have some stoppers out there that can go do it. Your back end, your bullpen can win you baseball games. Timely hitting, defense, all these things. The Mets have it all. They have the vibe too, man. Like what a freaking you had a 4-game set against Philly. You just played them 2 series ago. Philly wins that one. They walk off. I think it was the last game to win the series. You're back at home, but you got 4 games against the team that can clinch the division in your own building and celebrate in your building, spraying champagne for the division title. And instead, you win 3 or 4. You don't let them do that. You keep the lead in the wild card. Like it is awesome right now to watch the Mets play baseball. Like the emotion that's coming out of them. Like watching Brandon Nimmo, I think was a Jesse Winker he dabbed in front of after hitting the homer against Wheeler. Like they are riding high. We had Pete Alonso getting a freaking standing ovation because it might be his final home game at Citi Field. Like things are just they're awesome to watch. And then you got Baby Acuna there playing freaking shortstop. He's only had how many games in the big leagues? 15 games in the big leagues. He's right in the thick of everything and freaking crushing it, dude. Looking like he belongs there. He's looking like a guy that's been playing the big leagues for years, dude. Like nothing phases him. Like he expects to be there. I was wrong about the Mets. I was very wrong about the Mets.
Trev, baseball has a little magic to it. It's part of the reason I think we love it so much. You mentioned Baby Acuna playing shortstop and balling out, by the way.
Balling out. Like not even balling out, but
who's up the middle with him?
Who's at the middle with him?
34-year-old Jose Iglesias, the glove first shortstop his whole career that came out with a hit music single this summer and also is hitting .337 with a .381 on base and .840 OPS. His first game leading off in a 12-year career, he goes yard. Some stuff doesn't translate into analytics, and that's why we come at it. Ooh. I don't know, man. We talked about a lot of bad sauce in the American League. I mean, this grimace sauce or whatever is all over the Mets right now. It's unbelievable, and they are a team that I genuinely think you do not want to play come October.
No, they have that feeling. Edwin Diaz, 10 outs in 2 games, back-to-back nights. That's something obviously he's never done before. I love Carlos Mendoza saying this is big boy time. They've been careful with him, trying not to overuse him throughout the year. But it's time. And he gets the freaking job done. 6-out save against the Phillies, mowing down hitters. going right through the teeth of that, top of the lineup for the Phillies. They got a little bit of everything. The only thing that scares me is it looks like teams can kind of steal at will against Francisco Alvarez. Like I know Edwin Diaz was a lot to do with that last night, but Bryson Stott was just running. And people are going to say, oh, the Mets got lucky with that ball that hit off the bag. Bryson Stott steals third base. Vientos stops that ball. He's right there. That was not going into the outfield.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. I like that.
He was right there. The people are making a big deal about that. Like, oh, Mets got lucky. I don't think so. But I think that is a big deal that like you can just Edwin Diaz does not hold runners on. He's more concerned about striking you out, which is fine. A lot of high leverage relievers feel that way. Like I'm going to throw my best pitch, worrying about the base runners as secondary. I have different thoughts on that, but if it works, it works. You just got to strike guys out. It's got to be a little bit worrisome if you're a Mets fan. Like, hey, we're just going to get anybody into scoring position at any time because, you don't care or you can, I don't really know. It's a little bit of Alvarez, a little bit of Diaz, for being honest. I think Alvarez has like 57 stolen bases against a 14 caught stealing. Not a great percentage there.
As a Yankee fan, I can comment, yeah, it's a worrisome feeling. But
that's about it, though.
Right now, that's none of their business. I mean, dude, I love Pete Alonso's energy so much that the umpire's like telling him, hey, they're cheering for you, and Alonso has no idea what's going on. Like, that's so beautiful. He's like,
aren't I hitting right now?
Remember when people were going at Pete for a little bit? He's at 34 homers. He's at a 127 OPS plus. His career is a 134 OPS plus. Like Pete, where Pete was right. He's kind of having a Pete Alonso season heading into his free agency. The Braves are. It's the Braves, Trevor. Like they did this 2 years ago. The Mets had control of the division the whole year, and then the Braves snuck up on them in that last week, which lines up currently a familiar playoff series. It would be Padres-Mets, which we did that. Remember the Musgrove year game?
The schedule is interesting, and this is why I said that, a couple weeks ago, I said I think the Mets will be the team on the outside looking in. A big portion of it was because they were playing 7 against Philadelphia. I thought Philly was going to give them more of a run for their money. They handled Philly just fine. And taking 3 or 4 is huge. But they are on the road the last 6 games. At the Braves, then at the Brewers. And I know the Brewers kind of have everything cinched up. That's still a daunting task ahead. And it's funny because, we talk about teams being able to control their own destiny. Mets control their own destiny. And so do the Braves.
Yeah.
They just went out. They're in the playoffs. So it's going to be, this is fun.
Because they can get the tiebreaker.
You're a Mets fan.
From
you are
the
having
Mets
the time of your life right now. Like that freaking stadium was rocking.
Yeah.
This weekend, dude. They were showing out. Mets fans, you got Jolly Olive as your king. It's tough. But you guys were showing out.
Phillies, hey, it is what it is. They're 100% in the postseason. They're 100% winning the East. Dodgers, Phillies, Brewers, as we figure out those 1-2s, could be interesting down the stretch. I do think just something to even pocket for Phillies fans to feel okay about this. Their 5th starter stats are so bad.
And they won't need them.
Exactly. The past 8 starts, their 5th starters have a 14-14 ERA. That's Conquistador era. Joke's for me, I guess.
What you just said.
I don't know, man. I'm not sure.
That was over my head a little bit, but that was good. I got there.
Let's see. That's some Mets. Do you want to wrap up the Braves? Again, it's a similar good bounce back after losing that first game. Again, they lose the first game to Miami. That is a place that has been a torture chamber. I think the Mets have struggled down there a lot in recent years. A team just playing ball to play ball at this point. But they bounce back, and Albies is back, and he's only hitting righty.
I think that's big for them. Just the demeanor of the team, getting your spark plug back. And they are lined up against the Mets. I believe it's Schwellenbach, who Peter Moylan loves, and then it's Sale, and then it's Fried. So you got your horses going, man. Like, this is the time. Matt Olson's look great.
You talk about
the time.
You talk about a team that, I phrased it with the Mariners starting pitching. If the Braves get in, they have starters. They have a bullpen. They have a meaty part of their lineup. Where's my guy Matt Olson right now? Oh, 4-WAR season. Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna have 30 and 100.
That's fine.
I think was he 29 or did he? No, did he hit one? No, he's 29 homers, right?
29 homers. Yeah, let's get the OPS in the 8s. We'll be good. 134 OPS plus, same as Pete. 2 different ways to skin a cat. I usually start with the tail. Do you want any Diamondbacks, Brewers?
You can't talk about that right now.
What?
Cats.
Oh,
Political.
Yeah. Political.
Oh, really? Yeah, I guess I
yeah,
forgot about that. I've been so caught up in the
forgot
P.
about
Diddy stuff. I thought there was a cat involved there.
Eating the dogs.
It's a lot of oil. How far does he live
I don't want to talk about any of this.
How far does he live from you?
P. Diddy doesn't live here. Get out of
He's
here.
across town,
He's from New York.
but his house is in L.A.
He does?
That's where this
Isn't
is
that
all
where the
going
lotion
down,
is?
Pop.
Oh, man. I didn't know that.
Okay. What about the Diamondbacks?
I never went to a P. Diddy party.
That's good. Me either. What about the D-backs Brewers?
What about it?
Yeah. No, I'm half with you. I mean, again, as we could do this for every team right now, but like Fott with the season he just had a bad start. Massive bounce back for him. The Merrill Kelly cramp stuff is weird. Ketel Marte is back and balling out. What a season he's had.
His numbers I didn't know his numbers were that good.
And if you're the Brewers, it's where's that Pat Murphy quote that was like, "We are not letting off the gas. Let me tell you what we learned. We're not good enough after all we've been through and all the injuries and adversity that we faced this year. We've all been through it, and it's old. We're not good enough to take our foot off the gas." Pat Murphy.
Merrill Kelly's wondering if there is a cramp specialist out there, and I don't think there is. Maybe there is. I think it's just water. I think that's the cramp specialist.
I'd have to assume bananas. Like, aren't they the cramp specialists?
Monkeys never cramp. That's what. What's his name?
Dr. Doolittle.
No, the Japanese guy played for the Blue
Munenori
Jays. Why am I
Kawasaki.
Yeah, that was the
Right.
classic interview.
Was an all-time interview. Good
He
defender.
gave a couple of those.
Great defensive player.
Electric.
We
Let's
got to
see.
keep it moving, Pop.
Yeah, Trev.
The only other thing is if you want to touch the Dodgers, great job. Shohei. Did we even talk about 50-50 with Shohei?
We did that last
It's
episode.
Friday.
We did a whole Shohei segment. Thanks for being
That's
here.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
And people say we
liked
didn't talk enough about Shohei.
Warehouse
we talked
time.
about whatever.
Yeah.
Padres balling out. St. Louis eliminated. Guardians doing their thing. Do you want to do CJ Abrams? I feel like that's an interesting topic.
That is an interesting topic, isn't it? Let's do it. And I will let you go because I think you are more allowed to talk about that than I am.
It's interesting. Okay. CJ Abrams gets sent out, essentially. He's just going to work out at the practice facility
What's
for the
going to go
last
on
week
there?
or so.
Can we talk about that? Is he just in timeout? Does he just have to do baseball drills all day?
This is exactly why I think the Nationals messed this up. I get it. And I do believe, and I haven't really reached out, but this can't be a one-off issue.
Right.
There's got to be and this is all I'm assuming this, people. I'm assuming that CJ Abrams has, maybe been caught out before. Some of the quotes that were coming out, David Martinez talked about, like, we just want to make sure he's like, we help him and doing all these things. If he has an issue, like maybe he's going out too much and doing all these things, then okay. I still don't think you send him out like this and then have every single, person that covers the game talking about your franchise and CJ Abrams. Obviously, he's a big part of your future. So I think this should have been handled a little bit better, like more internally, because the quotes by Rizzo were like, we're going to handle this internally. You didn't handle it internally. That's kind of my issue here.
Yeah.
If this guy needs help and you wanted to send a message, you could do that internally. You could have just IL'd him and said, and had a talk and said, you're not playing anymore. And this is why. And then nobody kind of questions it. And it does actually happen behind closed doors. It happens internally. What you did now, this is not. It's not internally. Optioning him down, having that go across the feed is not handling it internally. The other point I want to make about this, and again, if it is like an issue, like if he's drinking too much or whatever it is, he needs to get some help and get back. I understand that. I just don't like the way that the Nationals handled it. If this is a one-off issue,
Right.
and he was just caught out before a day game, I think it's absolutely nuts to send him down. What precedent are you sending? Because what if, let's say next year, Dylan Cruz or James Wood or CJ,
Right.
they're going off. Mind you, CJ was an all-star this year. Say they're going off and they're batting 320, OPS in the nines, and you see, and somebody gets a picture of them out at the casino before a day game. Are you sending him down? Because you set the precedent. Now, anybody that's out, doesn't matter what they're doing, like, you set the precedent.
Right.
So if this is a one-off thing, I completely think it's ridiculous that they did it. Because look, and people are gonna say, you're a professional, you can't be going out before a day game. Let me tell you something. It happens. It's a 162 game season.
Right.
In fact, there have been many a times where your favorite player, back in the day, probably told someone, go out tonight. Don't come back until the sun comes up. You need a reset or something like that. This happens, people. It's not a great look. I know that. Sitting at a roulette table at 8 a.m. before a day game, not a good look. Would I have done it? Probably not. But like, it happens. So that's why I tweeted out, there's more to this story. Like, it can't just be a one-off thing. If this is a one-off thing, what are we doing here? We sometimes idolize guys doing this. Mike Napoli, there's a story about him not coming. He was on a heater. Terry Francona, they don't know where this guy's at. All these things were going on. And that's a story we laugh about. So I don't know, man. I just want to know more about it. And if he does need help, I hope he gets help. All these good things. I think he has a really promising career ahead of them. The one thing, I guess my blanket statement would be, you didn't handle it behind closed doors. This is everywhere. And I don't think that's how you should conduct yourself, even if you want to send a message. There's other ways to send a message.
Yeah, I don't think this is a one-off thing. And again, I'm already starting to guess, so that's where it gets into cloudy territory. I do think this would have had to become public somehow, between, you kind of can't phantom IL anymore.
You can.
You can, but
it happens all the time still.
For young, healthy CJ Abrams, I
Not
don't
healthy
know.
anymore. A workout incident.
Right, but if CJ Abrams says it wasn't a workout incident, then things get loud again. So I think this was going to come out in some way. So I'm not. I do wonder the dynamic, how they had to handle it. And you're right, Dylan Cruz is at the Olivia Rodrigo concert next year, and he's out till 5 a.m. Just getting the third pop star in there. The president
I like Olivia Rodrigo.
Of it is interesting, that I feel like this had to be a discussion before. Even, this is dumb, but on our Instagram, someone put out a very detailed post I played cards with CJ Abrams one night this summer till 4 a.m. We had a good time. And that could be anything. That could have been AI just lying to me. This
simulation sucks.
This simulation is bizarre. Man.
Okay. Last thing for me.
Here's what I'll say. This is corny old man Jake kicking in. CJ Abrams, whatever's going on, make this a weird anecdote. Don't make this the story. Let's look back in 10 years and be like, wait, he was sent down at the end of the season? Oh, yeah, it was that casino thing. That was bizarre. This can be the end of the story. And I hope it is.
This is the epitome of performance trumps all. My good friend Anthony Swarzak used to say that. What's one of the legendary beer drinking stories in the big leagues?
Wade Boggs.
Wade Boggs, 52, or he says 100 or something. I don't know. Nobody knows the number. And it's hilarious because why?
He's Hall of Famer.
Because he's really good, dude.
Off the plane,
Like,
bald.
if you're crushing it, stuff like this. Oh, hey, so and so was out till 8 in the morning, showed up to the park, got 3 knocks. That's awesome. He's a stud. When you're not crushing it and you've been struggling since the All-Star break and all these things happen, then it's not funny and it's not cool. But
Right.
it's so. I'm not saying this is like right or wrong. I'm just saying like it's very apparent in sports and pretty much in life. Performance trumps all. This story is completely different. If CJ Abrams has an 850 OPS and playing good defense and all these things, it's a fact of life. That's all I got. I thought it was interesting, man. I don't know.
I mean, the whole thing's.
I got so many texts from people. Like, did you see this? I'm talking about like current players. Did you see what happened with CJ? What is that about? I'll share one. Former player, so I can share it. Will Middlebrooks texted me, said, "Man, thank God I wasn't playing for the Nationals during my career." He was on those party Red Sox teams with Napoli.
Yeah, it is crazy to think. 162 games. Go back to spring training, and if your team's lucky enough to go to the postseason, how many people listening to this show? If you had your hey, CJ Abrams has to stay in. Have you stayed in this whole summer?
It's all. By the way, it's like he's off the field. Like, does your job know what you do? Like outside of the office, they don't. Last thing, one more thing. I really, there's so much good stuff on this. Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling talking about it. Like, how funny was that? Keith's like, I could see 4 a.m., but 8 a.m. Like, what?
That was Jeff
I like
Nelson.
reading Trevor Plouffe stuff. He's got a lot of good takes.
Jeff Nelson, the former reliever, Mariners, Yankees. He does some Yankees games, and he fully faded the fade. He was kind of with you. He's like, what are we doing here? Like, if back in the night, he's like 4 a.m. That used to be an early night for us. Like that, And he basically came back to, are you getting your job done? And maybe again, there's probably. You'd like to assume there's stuff we don't know from the national side that maybe CJ wasn't doing some of the other stuff he needs to do. But we don't know. We'll find out. Speaking of jobs, Trev, LinkedIn. If you're looking for a shortstop, LinkedIn Jobs is where you need to go. It's not just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else. 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. We need a guy. 24 hours later, 86% of you are finding someone. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at LinkedIn.com/talkin. That's LinkedIn.com/talkin. Post your job for free. There's a link in the description. It's LinkedIn. It's where the job people are. Made that up. Standout performances.
Who
stood out, Trev? Looks like we got a little West Coast two-step going here.
I do want to let people know that I'm having some tech difficulties on my side. So I had a bunch of statistics up to back this up. Had to close some web pages so this stream was good. So Beavers, can you get me Julio's numbers in September? It's in the 9s for his OPS. That's who I want to talk about. Julio, for the series was a monster. On Friday, went 3 for 5, 2 home runs, 5 runs driven in. His September has been great. I kind of challenged him, like, hey, like you have to be the guy. If the Mariners want to be in this, you have to be a centerpiece of the offense. You have to be an MVP type player. And he's done that. I believe it's 6 homers, 17 runs driven in for the month, a 940 OPS, 6 stolen bases. You chalk that up and do that 6 times, you're an MVP. You're a 30-30 guy. You're driving in, 100 runs. Like, you're doing what you need to do. I don't know if it's going to be too little, too late. But Julio has really, really come on, especially in the month of September. Beebs, are my numbers right?
Your numbers are exactly right, Trev. 337 batting average for those people, 99 plate appearances. Walks and strikeouts, who wouldn't want those ratios to be better? But
yeah, but
he's doing it.
he's doing it. We just need this through a full season because the overall numbers are still not great. It's low sevens OPS. It's just not enough for Julio. He's got to be better. He has to be the answer for them offensively. It's too difficult to just go find. I guess the Yankees did it.
Oh.
Maybe you can, but when you have a guy like Julio who has the potential, he's got to be the guy throughout the season. This Mariners team should not be in this position, Jake. They should not be 2 games out. They should be firmly entrenched in the wild card. They have to figure the offense out. Obviously, we've talked about that a million times. Julio's got to be the guy. He's been it in September. Even if you go back through August and September, the numbers aren't as good, but he's played pretty dang good throughout that time. So I'm giving it to Julio. If he could, I mean, dude, 6 games left. Go off. Get your team into the playoffs. No one will remember the start of your season.
Yeah, I want to see how the story ends because, man, if they somehow get in, I've already done it. And Julio's hot, and Randy's the best ever, and Justin Turner,
Turner, big 2-run homer.
It could change the whole story where last year, remember how bad the Texas Rangers were down the stretch? And then they stumbled in and they won it. And like the Mariners, it felt like they came up just short. Like they could have been the Texas Rangers. And now it just feels like the stars are aligning for them to be just short again. And if you're a Mariners fan, you just have to be kicking. Like if Julio finishes like this, it's like we couldn't get one more week. Like one more week. I don't know. Maybe it's wrong, and maybe they'll get in, and maybe it'll be a beautiful thing. But
would love that.
He
had a great series on Saturday. I mentioned this Friday again. On Saturday, he went 4 for 6 with a homer, 4 runs driven in. So like he's there. He's found it. If he can bring him to the postseason, no one will remember your April, your May, your June.
It's true. Unless you don't make it. Trev, AL West episode. It's always been. Summer's over. It's the first day of fall. Week of playoff baseball. I think that's true. Really? Yeah, I think so.
That makes sense.
Okay. Felt it in the air this morning. We're going to be doing some playoff live streams soon. Know who I see every October? Like clockwork?
Yeah, I do.
Yordan Alvarez. It's time to talk about him again. He had a massive weekend. Basic stuff for him. He did have to leave with a little knee thing Sunday, but he's Yordan. He'll be there. 4 for 5, double homer, sure, whatever you want. There's a stat that popped up, and I thought it was interesting. Trev, we didn't talk a ton of Shohei today as he's chasing whatever he's chasing today.
55. He's sure. 53, 55, I believe, right now.
Get 60. Who cares? Judge. Having a historic season of his own right. He has 55 homers. No player has landed on 55 for a season. It's either more or less.
Really?
Yeah. No one's landed at 55. Kind of a fun tidbit. Oh, and dude, did you know Ohtani's DH and Judge plays the field? Did a silly Judge Ohtani tweet. Regretted that all weekend. Big time mute.
Who got you?
Nobody. It was just me. I was saying that because Ohtani was going to catch Judge in the homers. He was 1 behind him, and Judge stretched it out to go 2 ahead. And I joked that Judge was 40 steals behind Ohtani. And all the Yankees people were like...
Oh, Yankees fans got
Yankee fans were like, oh, yeah, dude, what about the OPS? What about Judge playing defense? I was like, I like Judge. I really like Judge. I'm all about him.
Hey, I think he's like minus 6 outs above average in center field.
Oh, snap. This is about Yordan Alvarez.
Imagine me talking crap about Aaron Judge.
Yordan Alvarez, who has an argument to be one of the best hitters in the game. And here's a stat that popped up because I've seen other Shohei BS on other times I was complimenting him where people were like, oh, it was from last episode or 2 episodes ago, Trev. You were like, Shohei's not a generational talent because you don't see this every generation. This is once. This is one time. And people were like, oh, really? Did you forget Barry Bonds existed?
Oh, gosh, bro. Like, I don't understand that. I don't
either, dude. Because
I'm not talking about anything other than the fact that Shohei hits at an elite level, an MVP level, and also pitches
That's the
at
big
a Cy
thing.
Young level.
That's
no,
the
like,
big
people
thing.
forget that. Oh, he's a DH. I'm like, no, he's a fucking pitcher.
People are nuts, and how much the Bonds crew ignores the steroids in his 30s when Griffey was better than him up until that point.
Everyone was doing it.
Anyways, this stat popped up for Yordan Alvarez, who you'll see a lot of this October. He has a career 965 OPS against lefties. That's pretty good. As far as left-handed hitters go, it's second all-time to Barry Bonds. So of clean hitters, Yordan Alvarez is the best left-on-left hitter of all time. And just a little I was going to say asterisk. Sorry, Houston. Kyle Tucker, 9th all time. So, Kyle, you're just with the wrong team, Pop. We're going to get you paid that $300 million from Uncle Steve soon. But just a reminder, Yordan is here. Yordan is coming. So is Houston.
They are. They are.
They are.
Gosh darn it.
Come on, Tiger. Trev, standouts could have gone to Alec Boehm is back. James McCann. What are his stats since he got hit in the nose or whatever? Ellie De La Cruz breaking records almost every game. This could have get Brandon Pfaadt. Garrett Cole went 9 innings. Shota. But let's do the best segment of the show.
Dirt nasties on FUEGO. That means I'm on fire, baby. Like Waco.
It's brought to you by Corona Extra, Trev. I can't wait to see who your Corona Extra player is.
That Corona on our screen looks delicious.
Good right now. It's got the little
By the way.
condensation on it.
Oh, it's so cold. Nice lime there. Okay. Okay. The Corona Extra and Fuego segment of the show. We're going to start off for the series, and Ketel Marte for Arizona went 7 and for 14, a double, 3 homers. My gosh. 6 runs driven in, 5 runs scored, 6 walks in the 4-game set against Milwaukee. He set new career highs, Jake. 35 homers and 93 runs driven in. Would like to see him get to 100. That's just good old-fashioned round numbers that I like. How about Tampa Bay? Their infielder, Jonathan Aranda, 4 for 10. 3 of those hits, Jake, went for homers. 5 runs driven in, 4 runs scored. He hit a homer in 3 straight games for the first time in his career. We like that. You mentioned Kyle Tucker, that Abraham Lincoln MFer. Does he have to pay taxes as a descendant of a Mount Rushmore president? We don't know.
Shouldn't have
Probably.
to.
I think he does. Not in Texas.
On my country.
Not in Texas. God, Texas is it's an interesting place. Shout out Texas.
Yeah.
I watched Armageddon. How about that?
Oh,
on the
great
plane ride home.
Great
Yeah.
movie.
It's not that great of a movie.
It's a great movie, Trev.
It's like a
Owen
comic
Wilson,
book,
Steve
kinda.
Buscemi.
Is Owen Wilson in it? As Ben Affleck?
Yes,
Whatever.
they're all in it, dude.
Owen Wilson?
Yeah, pretty much the scariest environment you can imagine. Got it.
I don't even know
Glad
what you're
you were
talking about. I
paying
missed the first
attention.
part of the movie. Whatever. It's not a big deal. Kyle Tucker, anyways, missed some time this year. Right. It was a contusion on the shin. Then they found out it was actually fractured. 8 for 14 in the series against the Angels. A double, 2 homers, 3 runs driven in, 5 walks. He became the 14th Astros players with back-to-back 4-hit games, and first since Michael Brantley, Dr. Smooth. First time recording consecutive 4-hit games, and he continues to own the Angels in his career. 24 homers and 63 runs driven in against the Angels, the most versus any opponent. He doesn't have more than 20 homers or 55 runs driven in against anyone else. He has a 999 OPS against the Angels. It's the 3rd highest among teams he's played 5+ games against. He's played the Angels 79 games, 323 plate appearances, 999 OPS. Angels don't like facing Kyle Tucker. Don't blame him. For the week, Matt Olson, date your daughter, 9 for 22, 4 homers, 11 runs driven in. Got to get hot, stay hot there against the Mets. And speaking of that, Gio Urshela also of the Braves, 11 for 28, 3 doubles, 2 homers, 6 runs driven in. He homered in consecutive games for the first time since 2022. How about that? And this is the list you want to be on. The 2-week list, Fernando Tatis Jr., he's been going off. He's scary. I see postseason MVP in his future. I really do. 16 for 47 in those 2 weeks, 4 doubles, 6 homers, 11 runs driven in, 2 stolen bases. How about Blake Snell? Probably should have given him the Corona Extra Player of the EP, but I'm going a different route here because he's been just absolutely phenomenal. 2 weeks, you could talk 2 months. 3 games started in these 2 weeks, 17 innings pitched, only 7 hits, only 1 earned run, 29 Ks in those 17 innings, 0.53 ERA. He's 5-0 with a 1-2 and 114 strikeouts in his last 14 starts. It's not lost a start since April 19th. Probably should have been our Corona Extra Player of the EP. How about Kansas City reliever Daniel Lynch the fourth? That is. What century are you from, my friend? 4 games pitched, 8 1/3 innings pitched, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 12 Ks. He's thrown 16 scoreless innings while allowing just a 0.96 average and 280 OPS against since being recalled from AAA on August 12th. August 26th. Gonna need this guy down the stretch if you're the Royals. Go Daniel Lynch. Go. Honestly, not in my book. Was he in your book?
Yeah, I mean, former starter. I think he's coming short of rehab time. That I didn't know he was doing that in the pen. Happy for him. They need help down there.
Jake, what goes good with a Corona Extra, especially an ice cold one like this right on our screen?
I like a good meal.
A burger. How about Jake Burger, our Corona Extra Player of the EP for the week? Went 7 for 22. A double, 3 homers, 7 runs driven in, 4 runs scored, 2 walks for the 1.1 OPS. He recorded his second consecutive 20-homer, 20-double season. He's the first Marlin to record a 20-homer, 20-double season since Jorge Soler in 2023. I was looking at his numbers, thought they were a little bit better, but he's hit a bunch of homers this year. His name's Jake, which I love, and Burger. It went with the episode. I went with it, people. Congratulations, Jake Burger. You're the Corona Extra Player of the EP.
Congrats to all the Jakes. Jake Burger was traded for Jake.
I like his swing, too. It's a ridiculous swing.
There's Pop. There's Pop. Might have to look more into first base DH with Jake Burger. That's none of our business. Corona Extra, go get yourself some. Get yours at ordercorona.com. 21 plus, relax responsibly. Corona Extra beer, imported by Crown Import, Chicago, Illinois. It's Corona season. It's going to be a big Corona October. So get yourself some. Trev, great job. That could have went a lot of different ways. Unfortunately, here we have the worst segment of the show, the IL update. Where, some of these guys, that's it. That's it. Max Scherzer says he's going to tune it up for next year. See you, Mad Max. Sonny Gray. See you, Sonny. Nice year. Jordan Hicks for the Giants. Rob Refsnyder. Big fan of his. He had a massive season for the Bo Sox. Devers, also. His shoulders kind of done for the year. Jake Cousins and Taylor Scott, 2 impact guys on 2 playoff bullpens. Let's see what happens there. Returning from the IL, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. mentioned that. Ozzy Albies mentioned that. Danny Colom from Trev's Twins to the Orioles. He'll be pitching in October. Let's see. We've got Hunter Green back for the Reds. Finish it out. Jordan Westberg and Ramon Urias for Baltimore. Which may just segue us perfectly into starting everyone's week.
Awards!
T-Pain?
Yes, I'm going to be going. This is a little sad award.
Okay.
So I'm going to be going with the Hold the Mayo award. Number 1, I'm kind of an interesting food guy. I'm not really like a texture guy. But I'm not a mayo guy.
I'm a massive texture guy.
I can do textures, but for some reason mayo doesn't do it for me. But I also like things that mayo's in. Like I'll mix a tuna sandwich. Obviously, put mayo with the
Sure.
tuna. I'll eat like spicy tuna rolls. Those typically have mayo, although the good ones kind of don't. Like too much mayo, I'm not into it. I know mayo is just eggs and oil and salt, right? I think that's it. Just whip it up. Is there something else in mayo?
Sure.
I like all those things individually. Put it together. I'm just not a big fan. But chefs love mayo. They really, really do. Don't love that. Anyways, my award gets a little sad because this is more of like a human side of the game award. Coby Mayo of the Baltimore Orioles, he ended up getting sent down for the second time this season. Things just haven't gone great for him. 17 games played, 46 plate appearances, 098 average, OPS 293. It hasn't been there. Beebs just put something. Mayonnaise is made by emulsifying eggs, oil, and some type of acid, which is vinegar or lemon juice. I like all those things put together. I don't know why I don't like it. Whatever. It is what it is. So he came up because there's some injuries and he was going to help. He was one of those guys in Norfolk. We talk about the Orioles and the baby birds and all these guys coming up and they're all going to be heroes. And I can't believe they drafted so well and all these things. But this is a reminder that the big leagues is just different. Coby Mayo gets sent down. Jackson Holliday now is, getting pinch hit for, and he's coming in late in the game, or he's not starting games. Jordan Westburg is back. I think that's probably going to be the answer for them. He's had a rough go around as well. 169 batting average over 56 games this year. 517 OPS, 50 OPS plus. The thing I like about these guys, though, I mean, they're so young. Jackson Holliday is 20. Coby Mayo is 22. Their story is just starting to get written in the big leagues. But they had good quotes about this. They got interviewed, and Coby Mayo says he was talking about how you have to earn it at the big league level, and he hadn't earned it, and he understands that. And it was weird for him, getting pinch hit for. He goes, typically when I'm in AAA, like I'm going to be hitting no matter what. Get to the big leagues, it's not that way. It's about winning. Jackson Holliday, talked about Gunnar Henderson pulling him aside and saying, "Hey, look, man, like this happens. This is the beginning of your career. You're going to get pinch hit for. You're going to get people coming in to defensive replace you like this. It's all about winning at the big league level." And I think sometimes guys will get to the big leagues having nothing but success in their big league or their baseball career from the time they're in little league all the way to the big leagues. There's a lot of guys that come up who have never struggled at any point, to a certain extent in baseball. They get to the big leagues and it's so different. And I think so many times we just forget that and we just expect these guys, especially in today's game, where we're seeing a guy like Jackson Chourio and Jackson Merrill and Paul Skeens come up and they're just dominating. Those guys are like the exception, dude. Like they're not the rule. That's not what you should expect. Are you happy when it happens? Yes. Are you rooting for these guys to have success? Yes. But most of the time you're going to come up and you're just going to get punched in the face, dude. Like it's very difficult. So I don't know. I just felt like when I saw Coby Mayo got sent down, I saw some of the quotes. I mentioned Jackson Holliday. Hey, what's going on? Is he going to play for the Orioles in the postseason? I wanted to touch back in and just kind of remind everyone that these guys are human. It's very difficult. It's probably the first time they struggled, and both of them are handling it very, very well. On the Orioles side of the things, like I said, you get Jordan Westburg back. That's good for you. You got some veterans in there that are actually playing pretty dang good. Emmanuel Rivera, 28 years old. Like he's got 780 OPS. He's playing. Like he's going to play because he's producing. And I think that, when you see that, it's going to light a fire under these guys. Like Jackson Holliday is going to go into this offseason. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe he becomes a postseason hero. I don't know, people. But it's going to light a fire at him in the offseason. Both these guys are going to be really, really good big leaguers. I like the attitude. I just wanted to mention it. I don't know. I felt like it was something that we don't highlight a lot about the human element of the game and sometimes how difficult it is. So hold the Mayo. He's probably not going to play anymore this year at the big league level, but next year he's our guy.
Trev, you're right. We do talk about the outliers too much. Jackson Merrill has become a highlight of this program, and it's Jackson Chourio lately has become a highlight of this program. There are 3 position players who made their debut this year. So not necessarily rookies, but guys who debuted this year. There are 3 guys with over 1.5 B-WAR position players. Wyatt Langford, Merrill, and Chourio. 3, 1.5. That's not, it's not a crazy season. Pitching wise, there's 6 guys, there's 4 guys over 2 B-WAR. 4 guys. One of them Shota, kind of illegal. Otherwise, it's Skeens, Tobias Myers, also kind of illegal, just Brewers Devil Magic. And then Cade Smith, which is reliever Guardians Devil Magic. So that's why when you come into the season and you have a lot of young guys on your board, it's a daunting thing a little bit because it's hard to be that good and that young. And again, this isn't just pure rookies because like Austin Wells has been really good for the Yankees. Even Cowser not listed on this. But yeah, man, it's a tough game. And like you said, Emmanuel Rivera, who's been a big leaguer and around, kind of known for his glove, but if he's playing and hitting, he's going to play. Ramon Urias has a Gold Glove in his bag. If he hits a little bit, guess what? He's going to play because he has a Gold Glove in his bag.
He's been hitting.
And that's where, dude, these Orioles lineups, I'm starting to get excited because they've got a lot of pieces between the young guys the young guys you don't know. Remember when they just picked up Eloy? What? They can do some lefty-righty stuff, but those Orioles lineups are going to be fun to see as they try to figure out their formula the rest of the way.
Yeah, what happens when Mountcastle comes back? There's a lot of things going on. It's going to be an interesting last week for the Orioles, and I'm very curious to see their postseason.
And they kind of need Jordan. They kind of need Jordan Westberg to be good. They've missed him a lot. Trev, we didn't plan this, but that's why we're so goddamn good at it. I ran into a phrase that was called "put your pride to the side." And it's that time of year. You talked about the young Bucks. I'm going to talk about the old Cavs. Marcus Stroman for my Yankees put together a very nice Marcus Stroman season. He basically played exactly to his baseball card. Where they are currently at with their rotation, Marcus Stroman's been in the bullpen. He had his first bullpen appearance, 3 innings. And, he's going to be on the postseason squad, and he might end up in a massive spot. If your starter doesn't have it one day in the postseason, they're out, and someone's got to go, and it could be him. Justin Verlander for the Houston Astros has had some quotes come out where he's like, hey, man, I know I'm not pitching well. I know who I am, but I haven't been pitching well. I might have came back from my injury too fast. I know what these other guys were doing before I came back. It's that time of year, man. And I was skeptical. I was watching, again, I think it was MLB Network, and Pedro was talking about Verlander, and he's like, it's one of those things where we joke about stuff and you never know where the real line is. But Pedro's like, Justin Verlander's my friend. He's like, Justin Verlander, if he doesn't have it, he's going to step aside. And I was kind of listening to Pedro like, I don't know, Pedro, Justin Verlander? I've seen him every October just bring pain to basically anyone he's against. It's looking like it might be not with Justin Verlander. And I don't know. That's got to be an interesting conversation. Does he want to sit in the bullpen? Is he just not on the roster? It's that time of year that you talked about the young guys dealing with that. It's time to win playoff baseball games. And I would love to know every team, what are the conversations you're having? Because I know on the Yankees right now, Alex Verdugo's getting kicked to the bench. And it's like, hey, sorry, dude. No, it's your free agent year, and he's actually been hitting a little bit lately, but Dominguez kind of brings a fear factor and more speed and more power that it's pride to the side season. And Verlander and Stroman, 2 guys that should be proud for Obviously for different scales of careers to a degree. Justin Verlander, inner circle, all-time starting five-time type of guy. Marcus Stroman with an incredible career and a pretty sick-ass basement. But, like, it's that time of year, people. Whether you're young or old or whatever, you got to win ball games. And I'm excited to see who's doing that.
I do love postseason roster watch. Do you bring the extra pitcher? Do you bring the extra position player? Are you pinch hitting a lot? Like, do you need all those relievers? What's going on? This is when baseball is at its best, dude. The baseball postseason is electric. I'm excited. This is great.
Every winning team has good players. They got to sacrifice something. And it's that time of year, people. So watch baseball this week. I beg of you. Watch the Braves and Mets tomorrow. Watch Mariners and Houston tonight. Go check out any AL Central game, which I don't say that a lot. But we're here, man. I'm excited.
See my Rams last night?
How about Matthew?
They're cool.
Wow.
Big day for LA yesterday.
Juan Jennings.